Can you hear me? Okay, awesome. Well, it's so wonderful to see all of your lovely faces. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. As mentioned, I am a partner at Drive Capital, where I focus on sort of the Web3 market, but we're very much a thematic VC. All of our partners have different markets that they focus on. So I'm privileged to be joined by this wonderful host of awesome, talented investors in the space who mostly spend their time focused on investing in the Metaverse Web3 and kind of blockchain-based technologies. So I'll let them each introduce themselves, and then we'll jump into the questions.
Welcome, builders. It's great to see the whole crowd, great to see all the sponsors. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Paul Su. I'm CEO and founder of Decasonic. We are a crypto-native venture fund building blockchain innovation. I've been in crypto since 2013, rolled over some of my Zynga IPO proceeds into Bitcoin. Prior to that, I was a Web1 Silicon Valley VC, a Web2 operator, and now a Web3 early stage VC. Also, just recently, we signed a partnership with Cadena, Proof of Work Layer 1, to run their ecosystem fund. And so now we'll have a lot more funds to back all of you. So excited to share our thoughts today. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I'm Etienne, based out of Amsterdam. I'm the founder of TRGC, early stage venture fund. Discovered Bitcoin on obviously a forum related to the dark web, late 13. I'm here in Denver, my second ETH Denver, looking for the crazy ones. Guys and girls builders solving the hardest problems. Where our thesis mostly focus on infrastructure, middleware, actually even more from a SaaS perspective, as in this industry is growing and growing. We're not fully convinced yet that we're in the application consumer phase yet. So we like to look at it from a more fundamental aspect.
Hello. So thank you for the stay here. I am not a typical VC investor because I really a computer engineer. I create a company. I sold my company 20 years ago. And in that, I become to invest first in web, after in fintech, and right now in crypto. And I think it's not going to be so. I think we are going to be more VCs, builders that become VCs. I have seen a lot of people who is investing and returning some of the success that they have invest in our projects, and it's going to be more. So we'll have Crypto Plaza as an accelerator. I was even sometimes time to time I tried to develop, and I was hacking 3 years ago. Yeah, really wanting to invest in projects that I love it and I love develop, so that's my background.
That's awesome. Well, thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. Paul, I know you felt some type of way by Etienne's comments or talking about his thesis, so I'm gonna let you guys talk a little bit. I know you just had something to comment on, so I'm gonna let you kind of go right in.
By background, I'm a layer 7 guy. I believe in use cases. I believe use cases drive blockchain adoption. There's no better time to be investing in applications, in interface layers. That's why we're talking about the metaverse. And VCs like ourselves love that mainstream adoption. Cadena loves it. Ethereum loves it. Polygon loves it. Bring on those applications.
You just contradicted yourself. You just said you backed Cadena, which is a fundamental layer project, right? So thank you for that. The thing is, we get on calls and we usually see copies of copies of copies. And I usually would ask the founder, what are you building on? And I'm like, I buy that, right? I'll support that. And what we do is, next to investing, we like to get involved in the infrastructure of the project, like providing nodes, validators, actually grow that ecosystem. That's our bread and butter. That's where we feel at home. And we're going to stick to that.
I guess we can step back a little bit and talk, because clearly, as VCs all know, we all develop different theses and we have different processes to developing those theses. So maybe we can get into what our process is like. As I mentioned, a lot of my work is kind of market map based. So it's finding the whole market, talking to everyone out there. And once I get, 10 repetitive calls about the same type of project, that's when my insights start to kick in. And when I get to 100, that's when I can really tell if there's a project out there that I'm like most excited about, because I'll be able to parse kind of a little bit more of the signal from what sometimes feels like a lot of noise or where I can't develop a very distinct thesis. All of you guys have your own process. It might look like that or otherwise. So I'd love to hear about that and some of your insights that came out of that. Go ahead.
Okay,
Jesús.
one of the things that I think is different from the traditional VCs is that you can invest in a lot of projects that are in some way competing for the same thing. So that's why I think when I develop a thesis, we can do Web3 or we can invest in a lot of projects. In the past, we can only invest in one because it's like not too good to invest in the competitors. So right now we develop thesis. I think finance is very important. We have to put finance like the last word, like gamify. So I think the incentives are really important. I think the metaverse or the Web3, I see like new kind of thesis that for me, it's about price discovery, it's about a lot of things that you can do in these social networks that are new business models. So I understand that we have to change the model. I like in Web3, I like the project lens, that is like the base of constructing like the data users that all Web 2.0 can use. So I think we have to think about different things, because if we think like Web 2.0 and to put a token, it's not a... So I like new things and to try to invest in all the possibilities, all the people who is building on that.
As far as process, we like to call it, we invest in bear market proof founders. So we start from the human side of the equation. For instance, just met a 45-year-old founder, 4 kids at home. It's like, why in the world would you start a Web3 project? So we want to understand the ambition of why someone wants to do it, because we want to understand, obviously, how we fit in. And to your point, how does that fit in the overall portfolio? Because it's hard. It needs to be at least like a 3-year, 5-year focus horizon into what they're going. And you have to be slightly crazy to want to do this, right? And we want to be aware of that and provide that support where needed.
Our process has 3 steps, and it's based on the fundamental view that blockchain today is Internet 2000. We're this early. So when you're building frontier markets, you need to calibrate your criteria for this. So the first criteria is outlier founders. Winner mindset, do or die hustle, conviction around a vision. Second criteria is dominating a verb. So create that category just like Facebook dominated Connect, just like Google dominated search. The Web3 verbs are out there. Go build a verb. Third criteria, 100Xers. You won't believe how many white spaces there are today. The 100Xers out there, don't aim low, aim tremendously high. And so we look for founders with those 3 criteria, and it's been working extremely well for us.
Awesome. That's really helpful to set the stage a little bit. These days, people will come up to me and talk about how they feel like they've missed kind of the boat. And I look at them and I'm like, this is so early, that there's so much that hasn't been built yet. So I'd love to just hear a little bit about kind of the use cases that you're most excited about, or the areas that you're diving into. I know you mentioned infrastructure, but would love to hear a little bit more about like the specifics around that. What do you think needs to exist in this space? And then would love to hear about kind of the use cases that most inspire both of you.
It's funny you mentioned that. When I decided finally to go all in, like jump out of a plane without a parachute moment, early 16, people actually told me you're late to the party. Right? Imagine that, right? And to answer your question about infrastructure, a simple problem, by show of hands, who owns NFTs? Oh my goodness.
A lot of people.
You're all suddenly art collectors, huh? And so the question is, do you own the NFT or do you own an account on OpenSea? So you don't think about it like, where's that storage happening? What if OpenSea goes down? How do you access your materials, your art, excuse me? So those, from a storage perspective, you look at projects like Arweave, Aleph, even Filecoin. How is that storage happening? How do you prove indeed that authenticity, you're the owner, is the only copy? And that's what we look at from, it's a hard problem, it's a big ass problem, and we want to support that. And to your point, I feel like that's not even a 100x potential project, it's a 1000x potential, right? Most folks are not even aware of it.
Yes, I think right now we are looking a lot about gaming. I think the entertainment industry is growing a lot. We probably spend a lot of money in football and a lot of things, and I think we are building a new kind of entertainment. I think we are building, probably we will pay a lot, Cristiano Ronaldo, we will pay a lot, some specific, but I think we are building some kind of entertainment that is like social entertainment, that we are going to pay a lot of people playing a lot of roles in an ecosystem and metaverse. So I think that's going to generate out of economies, out of activity, and I think it's going to be like a massive thing that people can really work for the entertainment industry. So I think Axie Infinity has one of the things that we can do. We are investing in Star Atlas. We are investing in people who are organizing guilds to participate in any kind of gaming. But I think it's entertainment industry. So that we think is huge, and it's going to be like a new activity, the new economic activity.
You know, I think of Web3 use cases as Web3 verbs, and we have a running list of 100x Web3 verbs. We're actively looking for those. So, you know, one might be offset, carbon offsets. In the metaverse, it might be transport. It might be meaningfully connect online and offline. You know, there are so many verbs out there. As all you builders in the audience, I would encourage you to, you know, consider this framework as you're building out your product and product design.
Paul, I know you were at Zynga, and before that you were an investor in kind of like the Web 2 era as well. So I'd love to just hear your thoughts on how, you know, the most compelling founders are building in the metaverse, or what you'd like to see when you talk to a project that looks like they have a there, but you're like, this is kind of the next step. This is what's going to take you to widespread adoption.
You know, as a former Zynga early employee, I always like to beat Mark Zuckerberg. So if he says we're going to try and build meaningful connections in the metaverse, let's go build meaningful connections in the metaverse. Let's go beat him. That is the biggest use case right now. How you traverse online, offline connections. How do you connect your digital identity to your IRL identity? How your interests port over to all your different identities. That's secured by cryptography and the blockchain, NFTs. It's such an easy way to think about the metaverse as this unifying interface layer for blockchain and Web3.
I want to talk a little bit also about the global kind of aspect. So this is shifting gears a little bit, but something that I've heard at this conference, and this might be really contentious, is that folks are not as bullish on remote work necessarily. And now our teams kind of exist all over the place. But for early teams, kind of seed stage companies, how do you view like the hurdles of building across multiple time zones? Do you think there's value in teams coming together and being in the same location to ship product? I know it's a contentious question, but I'd love to hear straight from investors, because we all have our own thesis. Some people are really for this remote first world. Other people kind of see products ship faster sometimes when the team is incubating and sitting next to them in the same office. So.
Yeah, well, I think we have a space in Madrid that is an accelerator. I think with this event, you can notice how important it is to stay together. But I think when you start to build, talent is the most important thing. So I see teams all over the world organizing. It doesn't matter where you are right now because of the technology. And I think even to be very diverse, it's also really, really important. And I think we are right now probably in a moment that the VCs are investing all over the world. And that, I think, creates a inclusion of developers, an inclusion of things that I think is exploding. So I think it's difficult that a project didn't have one people in each of the continents, because probably it will be the more diverse and the talent will emerge. Yeah.
We prefer teams to get together earlier, in the early stage, fly them over, like you said, same building, get that bonding going. Because the funny thing, you start off with a project, your CTO is in New Zealand, which is literally a different planet. You literally have 1 hour on a day to get on a call, like a window. So if you like get together, as far as you can escape the country with whatever COVID laws, restrictions. So we prefer bring them together at first. Team is sub 20 people. And then afterwards, of course, as you start scaling up, you're focusing on different geographical regions. Of course, you want to have that representation in Americas, Europe, or Asia.
Crypto never sleeps. It's 24/7. So speed wins. Teams that accelerate speed will crush it. Have hybrid work, 1 hour overlaps on the sun never sets, meet IRL at conferences to accelerate high-level strategies. That's the best practice we're seeing right now.
Something that I know we're covering a lot of topics, but I just want to make sure to get through a breadth of different things. Something that I saw happen in front of me yesterday was there was a line to get in to this space, and there was a son-in-law and father-in-law duo, and the father-in-law was asking his son-in-law, he's like, what wallet should I get? And the son-in-law goes, get MetaMask, and he fully onboarded himself onto a MetaMask wallet right there in front of me. I saw him writing out a seed phrase. He put it into his pocket, and I couldn't help myself. I said, sir, you really need to put that in your wallet or somewhere else, like it's gonna fall out. And he was like, listen, no one is, really there to hold our hand or guide us through this, but like we also want to get onboarded on this space for folks who are sort of maybe in that, I feel like there's a generational gap here. We see, not that there necessarily is, but we do see a larger representation of folks in their kind of 20s and 30s at these conferences. I would love to talk a little bit about that and how kind of security and privacy play into onboarding like whole other sort of groups of folks that we really need to onboard to get this to take off, this large endeavor of ours.
I'll jump in because I'm the interface guy. It is crazy how many clicks you have to go through to set up and get onto crypto. That is our collective challenge right now. In Web 1, what took off commerce was one-click shopping on Amazon. Let's build towards one-click wallet setups, or don't even have a wallet, right? It's just insane to think that we're here today this big with so many clicks. So there's so much about what I'm partnering with Cadena on one code API access, one-click setups and onboarding for a lot of the user experiences we're seeing today.
And literally that's the reason why I don't think we're in the application layer yet, because if my mother needs to copy paste RPC endpoints in her MetaMask to connect to a chain, not happening, right? So indeed, that user experience, please, if you're on a team, your first hires, man, bring someone that is super fanatical about it. Test it out all day, especially on people indeed, like they want to put their seed phrase in their pocket, right? I'm scared about that. And the second thing is security. One topic I've been getting more and more interested in is what you would kind of call antivirus for crypto. Because think about it, if you could like have rule-based search for potential exploits in smart contracts, That's a topic we've been digging more and more into. We hear about a hack almost weekly, like Wormhole. We shrug and be like, hey, get my next latte. It's literally a newsreel topic we're not impressed by. Right under Paris Hilton bought a new car or something, and we just, and I'm like, I'm amazed by it, right? How we became almost that numb to security and those type of topics. Last note on privacy, it changes from country to country. In Europe, certain countries, if you file your taxes and they want to like literally fuck with you, they will check if you, for instance, had transactions through services like Tornado Cash, that your assets went through, for instance, a mixer, and you're flagged instantly, right? So it's another, like you would say, a collective challenge that we need to address, which I don't think we can just solve in one Eat Denver. I think it's going to take a lot of big brains come together and work on it.
I think, I don't know if you remember what was to send an email at the beginning. You have a black screen, you have to put HTTP. Really, really difficult. It was amazing. Oh, I can send, someone can read what I send in. But that was like a miracle. You have to use Unix. It was amazing. I think we are probably in the same way. We are right now in a developer environment. I think this year we have to achieve to onboard all the people, and we are with cryptographic things that we really. But I think it's not a problem. I think we are going to solve this like we solved the email problem. And I think that's why it's exciting more. That even with this difficulty, people is always trying to do the effort. And I think we are also learning a lot of very good things about security that probably we don't understand in the web 2.0, or we forgot. But we have to take care about our security, our data, so I think we are going to solve that. I think it's not for me a problem.
Well, that's awesome. Another aspect that's really core to investing, obviously, is talking to the team, getting to know the team and the founders, and really understanding sort of whether, we believe that we can be good partners in helping them build and ship the product that they say they are, or pivot and be adaptable when they need to be. Someone actually asked me to ask this question ahead of the panel. He wants to know, what are you looking for in kind of like the most inspiring teams and founders, or who has inspired you the most in terms of teams and founders?
Well, I like to be passionate on what they do and to be a little bit crazy, but I think they have to be ambitious to do things that is like to conquer the world in some way. So I think that's, and to be, I like to be, that would be very deep in technical things, so they would be very expert on. But I think probably what excites me more about is that they develop something that is really to change the things, and they have a team that is very well diversified. They have a different kind of skills. But anyway, I think VCs are not so important in that moment. In the past was very, very important. Right now, sometimes we think we have to think for the VCs. The VC is going to go to you if you have a very, very good project. And I think the VCs have to help. So you have to find VCs that can help you in this kind of designs. Yes, because right now we are going to look for this project. So it's more important, even it's more important for us to identify that you think about. So you have to have VCs that can help you in the project. That's really, really important, because VCs see a lot of things, a lot of projects, and they can give you a lot of knowledge, a lot of insight, and they can work with you.
I look for humble confidence. We're sitting on the biggest opportunity of our lifetimes right now. It's so early. There are a lot of well-intentioned builders in our space right now building amazing innovation for better. It is crazy to think that in 20 years, this is going to have transformative impact across all of our society. So it's a great time to be building. It's a great time to be collaborating and building for positive impact. We're all going to make this. We're all going to do it together and build together. Have that humble confidence to work with others, to be open-minded and collaborate.
I like to think you talk to a founder or a team and that big old word comes to mind, right? It's gonna drop in the first 5 minutes. We're oversubscribed, and literally money is toilet paper, right? So you find yourself sometimes even you're pitching the team, right? Like take my money, and right? But indeed, to your point, so the money is the last aspect, if you will. It's only like you want to raise 1 million, there's 25 at the door, right? And just knocking on to come in. So I think VCs, if you don't understand why you're investing in it, why you should be holding it, where you fit in, how you're going to support them, it's better not the play you're looking for, right? I don't think you should get involved. I think it's the wrong relationship. And if you're like, because like I said, you're not investing for the current cycle. You're looking for 2027 and plus forward. And you don't want to be my friend who sold this chain link for 15 cents. You don't want to be that guy or sold your Bitcoin in 12, right? You want to have that longer horizon.
That kind of leads into my last and final question. Timing is really, really important, and we feel that all the time because there's some things, use cases, concepts that we've talked about, and we're like, dang, for me, it's electronic medical records. I'd love to figure out a way that we own our own medical and health data. I tried to do this in 2017, way too early. The health kind of industry as a whole wasn't ready, but I was like, dang, I need to work on this. That lesson taught me a humble lesson, years later, which is I need to pay attention to timing. So I would love to hear a little bit about kind of what are some areas where you think you want to keep a pulse on it, but you're not really ready to necessarily invest. I know Etienne thinks it's the application or consumer app types, but I would love to get your perspective, Jesús and Paul and Etienne, if you have anything to add.
Well, literally, last night I was at this event and I'm hearing these kids talk about whatever NFT they bought. I'm like, please, we'll schedule a 3-hour Zoom call or whatever. I'll fly to whatever city you're at and walk me through NFTs for Dummies. Why are you as bullish as you are? What's the use case? What's the direction? I like to step back and look at it. What's happening here? And I'm like, let it correct, and I'll probably take a position there.
History rhymes. I believe today in blockchain, it's Internet 2000. In 1999, all the infrastructure companies crashed like Cisco and JDSU. What accelerates over the next 5 years, you could map to blockchain, commerce, community, social, media, music. So it's a glorious time to be in applications. I back test it with internet history, and that's a disciplined way to understand market timing on our end.
I am very bullish about thinking about incentives. I think we have the best financial infrastructure that we have in our history. I think we can really do incentives for a lot of people in a lot of projects. So I think we have to find how to apply this amazing tool that we have about finance in all the sectors. So I'm very bullish in that because we have on board a lot of people in this kind of project with incentives, with market, how we discover the price of things. I think NFTs in some way permits you to discover how much value to be in a backstage of a concert. A lot of things that probably we don't have a price, but we can have a price to put an NFT or to put in a market and to see what is the price of that. So that kind of thing is what I think we can really put in industry and finance incentives and price discovery using in several things, what I think is my bullish.
Well, thank you all so much for these wonderful kind of what you index on and letting us take a peek into your process. I think we're ready for the next panel.
Let's hear a massive round of applause for these supremely bright minds. Again, it is a great time to be a builder.